All right. So, hi, this is Nikki. And, I need to probably change my name for this one right here, too. And I'm going to be talking to a personal friend of mine, Michael Olinsky. You were just, in fact, an opponent of mine in an Age of Sigmar game where we had a big slobber knocker throwdown between Beast Claw Raiders and my Sons of Behemoth.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I actually just finished off the editing for the fight for that one, so we can be able to do one of my bare bones bat reps for this a little bit later. But I wanted to talk with you because I heard that you were doing Path to Glory, and I wanted to go through a create a Path to Glory session. I did a live stream of this one. It was a disaster, and that's just because obviously I think the rules that are in the core book for it aren't the clearest. What's your
Yeah,
opinion of it?
I've been looking through it myself, and that's why I'm glad you were going through with this video because I was a little confused.
I was, and I actually watched a couple of videos. I watched 2 Plus Tough, brought attention to me to a couple of things, and I've been trying to pare down each step and where I can be able to at least offer some pointers for each step when we get to them. But let's go ahead, let's go through it. We at least had step one, which was your faction, your sub-faction, and your realm. What was it that you were thinking about doing with either of those right now?
Well, as far as faction goes, I'm going to be playing the Flesh Eater courts,
Okay.
and for sub faction, I didn't pick a grand court. I went with the Delusion,
Okay.
so it's going to be the Feast Day.
Feast Day Delusion. Okay, so what's that all about?
Well, basically, the glorious kingdom is getting together and having a great feast, and I'm sure it's going to be full of nobility, chivalry, and just all around good time with fun guys.
All right. Do you happen to have an idea of what realm that you're going to be working from?
I haven't actually nailed that down yet.
Okay. All right then. So don't know that one yet. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to step two, which is going to be a lot of like your starting size, your territories, your stronghold, and even your glory points. And this all comes from what your starting size is. Uh, of course, I like to play very small, and I was happy to go and start at like 600 just because it was going to be nice for me to be able to just work up from what essentially is a small settlement to a larger kingdom. What about you? Where do you want to come in at this one? Because one of the things I found out too about this is that starting size doesn't necessarily dictate the fights that you'll be going to. Starting size is just what's the army you're going to have as a roster to pull from future battles. So you can do a larger starting size and then just do a bunch of fights that are in the 700 to 800 point range, even if you have a 1500 point roster. It's just it kind of it's a little bit more of a boost up for the capabilities of your army. So I like to do the slog, and I'm going to do the slog for starting at 600 with the Vanguard type of starting size. What about you?
Yeah, well, looking at the chart and everything, I didn't go too deep into what that entails, but in any setting, especially a campaign, narratively or not, I always like starting at the bottom and working my way up. So I was liking the 600. Also, I have very few models to start with, and this will give me a slower starting point to build up my collection as we go.
Okay, all right. So we're going to be going with a Vanguard. So with the Vanguard, then we're going to be starting with you have 5 glory points to open up with. You're not going to be able to spend those, and of course, glory is your currency for buying the improvements to your army and your territories. So there's not really anything that's going to be coming from this yet. Let's see. We're going to have your stronghold, which you can give a name for, and your stronghold, it dictates how many territories you control and what the unit total for your army can be. And right now, that's not going to matter because what dictates your units, the number of units you can have, is how many barracks you own. Those are tied to your stronghold, but since we can't buy anything, you're stuck at the 6 units. The territories, because of your stronghold size, it's going to be just the basic size one. You'll be able to acquire up to 3 territories before you have to grow your stronghold again. again, since you can't buy any new territories because you don't have the opportunity to spend the glory for that, you do start off with one of them, though. Essentially, what your stronghold's going to do is you have your order of battle limits, and it's going to alter all these totals you can have. Barracks are your total units. The old keep is going to be the number of heroes you can have. The wild lands are the monsters. The forgotten mines, your war machines. The arcane waypoints, your wizards. The sacred sites, your priest. The small settlement is going to be your reinforcement numbers. And then the ancient roads are your ally totals. And these are all tied to how many of them you can have is tied to your stronghold size. So
Okay.
the only thing you can pick from right now is what your territory is. And this is what you have as it stands. And so which territory you pick will increase one of these totals by 1. You may not even know what you want right now until you're kind of butting up against what you can field in your army. I'm guessing with Flesh Eater Courts, you might have a need to get more wizards.
Yeah,
you might want the
that's one that I
reinforcement
would
or the
do.
monster level. So those are all possibilities with them, at least I can find. You could even do the allies. If you want to bring in 2 allied army units or heroes also.
Yeah, and I had been thinking about that. Initially, I wanted to go with heroes because of all the different types of heroes that they offer, but 3 is a good starting point, especially with only 600 points to draw from.
Yeah, and 6 units total you can have. That's going to be half your army in heroes totally.
Yeah, so that's a bit much, but the wizard one was the one that I had decided, just
Okay.
because being only able to bring 1 doesn't really suit the army very well.
All right. So we're going to be getting an arcane waypoint. You can see right here too, I have up here, choose 1, old keeps, forgotten land. All this a little note here for anyone. I want to eventually make this available to patrons of mine. And this is a great way for me to kind of show off what I have here. And let's see, this is going up your wizard total by 1. Now let's make sure I have this right. Arcane waypoint. If it equals 1, it should. Well, oh wait, is that N11 to O13? No, it's supposed to be P's. Okay, that's what that one is. As I try to fix my Excel spreadsheet right now in front of you.
It's a behind the scenes look.
Indeed. There we go. And there we go. Automatically updates it to 2, and I'll have to do that for all the other ones with that. So that was the entirety pretty much of step 2 of what it's going to be, which is what's the caps on your units that you're going to have. And you can give your stronghold a name you want. I've actually gone through with my Path to Glory, and I've done that with everybody now in my army. So I have it fully decked out. I am all ready to treat this like the RPG I think it's trying to open itself up to be. And I hope it kind of turns into that for a lot of us, this kind of near RPG type experience for everyone. So now we got step 3, which is what the order of battle is. We get your warlord. We get your other heroes and units. You can get yourself a battalion, and you can get yourself an endless spell or an invocation too. So you kind of get yourself a lot of things going with yourself right now with step 3 here. What were you going to go for your warlord?
The Aberrant Archregent.
ABHORRENT?
I have it right in front of me. Hold on. I've been having trouble with that myself. ABHORRANT. Yep.
ANT.
Oh, yeah. See the slight difference.
Is that a British way of spelling it, perhaps?
That makes a lot of sense. And they didn't hyphenate Archregent either.
Okay. So what's the command trait that you're going to be bringing in with your Archregent?
He has there it is. Dark Wizardry.
let's see, WIZRDRY. So he's going to be keyword wizard.
I believe so.
And point total. What's the point total for an aberrant archregent?
He's sitting at 245.
Ooh, that's a lot of points there for that guy.
He's hefty.
All right. So your warlord's always going to start out with 15 renown points, because at 15 is when heroes end up getting command traits. So that's at least going to explain what the total is for this here. You'll have your core enhancements, which are all the different abilities you get for your allegiance from Flesh Eater Courts. Your artifact, if you choose to give one to him, or what you want to give for him, that's also going to be a core enhancement. At least your one artifact that you always start with, and he can also take the one from the core book too, if you want to get, like, everyone loves an Amulet of Destiny.
Yeah.
5+ ward. That one's great. So what are you imagining this thing is going to be like? Like, what's the story in your head of this aberrant archregent?
Well, one of the key points I've come, because there's a lot of lore, and thankfully Games Workshop made it nice and vague since Fantasy ended and Sigmar began. I've gone through various forms of research, and there's people who think that this is now Bretonia,
Yeah,
from the old world, and I like that as well. But I'm basically, the reason I choose an archregent instead of a ghoul king is because this guy has come to town searching for a new king to give new land to, because the archregents, they rule over the many courts in their kingdom. So
they're the emperors of a Flesh Eater court.
right, and he's full of himself. He likes to say that he was part of the court of the Carrion King and all that jazz, just to keep everybody interested. And basically, they're on a holy quest to appoint a new king.
Okay, interesting. I like that idea.
And it's
All
just,
right.
it's going to be very positive and upbeat and happy.
Honestly, they are a good kind of group. I like them. They're one of the more interesting death factions with that one. And I wonder sometimes, those beginning years of Age of Sigmar were wild for these kind of things, because you got the Flesh Eater courts, which I am certain no one was expecting this is what they were going to be when they came out. And the Beast Claw Raiders were coming out also, which was a nice take on ogres. That eventually they just mashed in with the Gutbusters for the Maw tribes. I know they tried to give a book entirely just to the Savage Orcs, and then just to Clan Pestilence Skaven, before you had the combo books, which were all the Skaven, all the ogres, all the Orcs. And I don't know. I don't know if I like the books that were combined together then, because I guess to me it showed that they were trying to expand the possibilities for a lot of groups that were these old world ones, and for whatever reason then decided to just reconstruct them. And I guess maybe that decision's just that maybe they weren't going to be expanded as much as some of the newer stuff coming out, like with Sylvaneth and Fire Slayers. And so rather than keep making new Savage Orcs for a Savage Orc book that will be updated very rarely, probably just combine everything into one book. I mean, now we're getting the Swamp Orcs into the War Clans book right now. And I don't know, I just feel like that's kind of a disservice to them. But Flesh Eater Courts still survived on their own. They didn't combine them into anything. They didn't combine them into Legions of Nagash. They survived to be their own thing.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of the army in general, just from a lore standpoint. You gotta love an army that the leader is so insane that it affects the rest of them. Like, from a narrative standpoint, it's going to be fantastic. I plan on, like, when I write my narrative reviews of fights, there's going to be 2 point of views.
Yeah.
This is what we saw, but this is actually what happened.
I I tried to do that one time. I played online Vampire the Masquerade, and I was playing a Malkavian that saw the world one way, was experienced the other, and I tried to just had to try and write it out the entire time. And it's definitely one that stresses and tests your ability to be a writer and to be a narrator and a storyteller. And at least it's an interesting one to start with in the beginning. I definitely did not have the skills after maybe 2 or 3 posts to continue to write 3 pages for a page and a half of what was supposed to be going on in a crazy person's head, and a page and a half of what actually was going in the real life. I just could not keep up doing that. That was not for me. That was one of the things I never liked about something like that. Like when I play normal tabletop RPGs, I can't do what some people I know do, and that's like 10-page backstories. I can't. That's not for me.
Yeah, I could see that being an issue. And luckily for me and this army in general, the second half of what really happened, for the most part, it's just going to be, and they ate them all.
Yeah.
So, just various descriptive sentences involving, and he ate that guy, and that other guy got ate too.
So what else are you bringing in with your army besides an aberrant archregent who is looking to be a kingmaker?
Well, you see, with what I have right now, I have the Start Collecting and the Broken Realms box.
Okay.
So from there, at my disposal, I have 30 ghouls and then 2 units of either the horrors or the flayers, basically flying around the ground, the elite units, and then the zombie dragon and or terrorgeist. But he's technically supposed to be from my Soulblight Gravelord army, so there might be some magnetizing in my future here.
So do you happen to have Radikar's Court for Soulblight?
Radikar's Court? No.
Okay, because I was going to say I was a big fan of the Vargskir from playing Total War Warhammer, and I've seen what the actual not the Vargskir, the Vargulf, and I've seen what the actual Vargulf model looks like, and I look at the Vargskir and I'm like, maybe I can just co-opt that thing into being a Vargulf. It looks a lot more impressive. But I like with the Flesh Eater Courts how they have little ranks for everyone too. So that's like kind of a cool little thing too. I love that with them. All right, so let's talk about then some of those units. So you got some ghouls, and ghouls you would want to include in this, right?
Yeah, at least 1 unit.
How big is a unit of ghouls?
It's a 10-man squad now.
10-man, okay.
Now, I believe it was always 10, but I say that because of the way reinforcement works.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything's a little wonky now. I'm not always like, okay, max size that, especially in this setting where I get 1 reinforced unit. It's like, now hold on, pump the brakes.
Yeah. So how many points is a unit of ghouls?
95.
95? Okay. Let's see. Would you want to bring in 20 points of ghouls and use your your 1 reinforcement?
Yeah, that was one thing I wasn't entirely certain on yet. I know see, look, I've already looked at all their I want to say data slates because of 40K, but
use data slates. Yeah. I'm not going to stop you.
Yeah. I've looked at their sheets, and they're not exactly the most impressive, and they're definitely they're on par with like clan rats, and that would make me want to bump the unit size up. But based off the way certain buffs in the armies work, and I'm not using a Grand Court, so I couldn't, for instance, use the Grand Court that's very good with surf units. It keeps me for the moment, I'm going to keep them at 10, and that's honestly just so I can fulfill the battle line requirement.
See, there's actually not one in this.
Wait, for real?
Yeah. No, you can just take whatever.
Oh, it is narrative, huh? That makes sense.
Yeah.
Which also explains why I couldn't find it in the book.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's no, your construction limits are everything that's just over here in the order of battle limits. So you don't need to take ghouls if you don't want them.
I mean, when you're making up a kingdom, you need peons anyway, right?
You do. You need subjects. And sometimes
And
you bring those subjects with you.
and since it's a narrative, I want to have, all right, this is my cryptors, and this is their courtier, and this is my ghouls, and then I'm going to name everybody. It's going to be fantastic.
Well, what's a Bretonnian army without Bretonnian peasants to shit on?
Right. And I can't wait. I'm going to try and see if I can find some free people's models. I have a friend of mine who has some, and maybe do a little conversion here and there. Stick a helmet on one of them or something.
Talk to me about that one too. I've got a lot of Empire stuff. I bought a box of Empire Militia not too long ago that actually I'm probably not going to need them anymore. So you can hit me up about that one too. That was a hard one to find.
Yeah, I mean, when my friend was doing this, he plays Cities of Sigmar, so he was wanting all these different models, and I just love Bretonnian Knights. That was just when I first
I like
started.
the concept. I really did like the concept of them. Although I'm not going to lie, as a scholar of war, the French kingdom of horseback knights, while the kingdom is full of like wooded areas that beastmen hide in and wood elves attack from and whatnot, it kind of always gave me the hint of how are horse riders able to actually do effective warfare in this environment that they have. It made no sense to me. And I actually read some of the novels with them. There's actually a good novel. I think it's Questing Knight is Errant, or Knight Errant is the one I'm reading right now. And it's like Knight Errant, Questing Knight, Grail Knight. It's a trilogy that follows a guy. And the first one is, though, at least that like a mysterious wood is encroaching in the land, and they have to go and try and attack it and beat it back, and they always have to clear out the mysterious wood that's continuously growing because their horses can't run through the woods. It's an interesting series. I would recommend that one. But so we were talking about that. We got some ghouls, 95 points.
Right.
You
And
did want to get that second wizard. So what are we looking at here for your second wizard, actually?
to be, oh,
Yeah, I have this happening now, and I don't know why.
there it is. Is it back on your screen?
It is.
Oh, wait, that's a silly question. That is your screen. All right.
No, I'm having, I think, a refresh rate issue, and I hope it's not going to be continuous. All right.
Yeah, so the only other wizard that I can bring technically is the Aberrant Ghoul King.
Okay.
So
Were you going to bring that character with?
I was deciding on that. He's a bit pricey alongside the Archregent, but with this being the territory I chose, I can then, it still leaves the availability to later add a wizard, right? So it doesn't have to be in the starter.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I would recommend this. Your starting territory should be where you know you're heading, because
Right.
territory acquisition in the future is random. So you're not going to be able to just pick, okay, now I need this spot. You need to have a battle. And after every battle, you'll get a chance to roll for a new territory. But you're not guaranteed to get the one that you want. So you may be fishing for territories in the future. So if this is the one that you want to have the spot open for in the future now, yeah, go ahead and have it.
Yeah, that makes a
But
lot of sense.
yeah.
Searching for a king, it would be very important if we had a place for him. When he shows up and we're like, I'm sorry, buddy, you got to sleep on the porch.
Yeah.
Yeah. But one other thing I am definitely going to add to the list is the Cryptghast Courtier.
Okay. That's
because
that's a
the
normal
hero.
unit. That is a
Right.
hero?
Right.
Okay.
That's basically the hero that rules over the ghouls.
Okay.
He commands them as like a field general type deal.
All right then. How many points is that one?
He is 70.
70 points. So right now we got 410 of your 600 points. And now, one thing, of course, to keep in mind too is that the 600 point limit is not a hard cap after you make your army. You almost really have no cap after you do this part. The 600 is just for what's going to be your first fight. Because after this, you spend glory points to increase your army. And the cost of a new unit is tied to its point cost, but you pay for it in glory points, and order battle limit on points doesn't even matter anymore. You'll go above 600 easily on the next unit you buy, as long as you have the limit for it. But this 600 point limit's just for your army size by the time of your first battle.
So it's important to kind of get the best bang for your buck.
It
at
is
this moment. Yeah.
It is if you just want to win your first battle. It is. It's not necessarily the most important thing. After every fight, you will be getting 5 glory, and so this is kind of what it's going to break down as. When you fight, you'll get 5 glory just for fighting. You'll have opportunities to get extra glory in the future fights. But this is going to be what it's going to cost you to get new people. Let's see. If you want a unit that is up to 100 points, it's 3 glory points. If you want a unit that's up to 150, it's 4. If you want it up to 200, it's 5 glory points. So after every fight, at least, if you want to spend all the glory you earn on new units, you can buy something up to 200 points after every fight.
That's not bad.
Let's see. 6 glory is 250 points, and 7 glory is a 300 point something, which is most likely where a lot of things are going to be until you start trying to buy, I guess, like terror guys, people riding terror guys, people riding zombie dragons, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But at least, though, you'll be looking at, if you don't spend glory on anything else but adding new units, you can add a 200 point unit at the end of your first fight just by spending 5 glory points, and you always get 5 glory at the end of every fight that you have.
Okay. Let's see. So this is kind of the point where I was hitting a wall as far as what the list was going to have in it.
Yeah.
At least because initially I thought I needed a battle line, but also this is a really cheap way to get another hero in there, as well as, you know, a unit that benefits from said hero. So beyond that, it's just a matter of basically what would be the most, I guess you would say, thematic choice. Because I'm not going for like, I'm going to win every game. So I'm trying to think in my head, okay, he's looking for a king. What's he going to need? Yeah. And as a result of that, I ordered, and let's just say GW was sold out, so it was a little more than it should have been. But I got a Vargulf Courtier coming in, but
ooh,
I am not a fan of resin.
Yeah.
And especially this looks to be the original, like, fine cast, not the new resin either. So that's just going to be a chore. But as far as that goes, that would probably end up being something I add at a later time, because you can't win a war without soldiers. And if I throw all my points into characters, they'll sit back and watch everyone else win.
You'll be surprised, honestly, how much a couple characters can carry some things too, depending on if you get some good ones.
Yeah, that Crypt Gas Courtier, he's not an A-lister.
Yeah.
He's just there as support. So I needed something.
You get a Terrorgeist.
Yeah, if I had the points, but let's see. I was thinking most likely a unit of Crypt Flayers would be the choice, just because they're bigger, and there are very limited ranged options for this army, and at least they have some form of missile weapon.
Okay.
Because it's important to be able to, and mobility too, because Crypt Ghouls, they're not winning any gold medals for track. So
no.
They're a little slow.
Except unless on Blood Bowl. Ghouls are your speed on your Blood Bowl sometimes.
Yeah. Then you see, I haven't played enough of that. I need to get into that too.
I got into it for buying models. I've yet to play a game of it. I've yet to play a game of 40K. I have models for it too, and I have I think what a lot of people are like in this hobby, right? I have models for things I've never played with, and I don't know when's the first time I'm going to play them.
Oh yeah, if you look back there, there on
Yeah.
the shelf, that's an entire Custodes army I never built. So,
Oh no.
so I know how you feel.
So how much are Crypt Flayers going to be in points?
They are 180. So that pretty much finishes it out.
All right, 180.
Yep.
Excellent. Yeah, that's 590 out of 600. Of course, you could buy Endless Spell if you wanted to do that.
Yeah, I had thought about that, but to be honest, the ones that they have, they're pretty neat, like their specific ones.
Yeah.
And then, but I'm not too keen on it. Some of the points hikes they put out with the new edition were a little steep. And
Yeah.
aside from that, it being thematic, I'm not like, okay, now my vampire wizard is going to summon cogs that control time. So I might add the actual ones that they have in the future, or maybe some of the death themed ones.
Yeah.
But as far as like, the cogs or the shackles, even, I'm okay without having them. And it's a whole nother spiel. I've got plenty of spells.
That's an interesting ally thing to think about in the future with your army, right? Maybe get a necromancer. And
Yeah, that would be pretty neat.
that could be kind of thematic. Another vampire lord could be thematic. Certainly, you can ally in some blood knights.
Yeah.
Not just because they're good, but because they're knights.
Yeah, that would work out pretty well. I can even
not gonna lie, some blood knights really ruined my dwarves day whenever I was playing with them. But yeah, man, so I played Malone, and Malone won. And this was one of these things where I mentioned about with narrative, which was that if your goal is to win, you're not going to have a good time, because the way Malone was winning, like, he was just winning because my army couldn't kill him quick enough. and that was just the way it was just set up. The only goal he had was to not die. And he came across an opponent that was not very good at killing him. And so it was a very frustrating game for him as he was winning. And for me, I was loving it because I'm playing dispossessed dwarves. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to write grudges. I'm going to go and I'm going to put down, like, you killed this dwarf, I'm going to go after you 3 more times in the next month or so, so I can have some fun with it. But that's the kind of thing, though, right? Is that you got to be able to have some fun when you're either winning or losing in narrative, and the incentives for narrative aren't there for you to try hard. That's not the incentive for narrative.
Right. Like myself, especially like in reference to this army, say the mission is like, hey, you need that objective this turn, but there's 3 guys left out of that unit over there looking mighty tasty. I mean, fiends that we have to smite in the name of our king.
Yeah.
We're definitely not going to eat them.
So are you going to bring any battalions for this army?
At the moment, I don't believe I qualify. Now, I mean, I think maybe the single drop battalion, but I qualify for it, but I don't necessarily want to, but I basically choose one now and it goes on the roster and I can use it at any point, right?
Let me take a look. I believe so. Like, you don't have to necessarily use it. Let's see. You can choose one core battalion or war scroll battalion that your faction has access to, and one endless spell invocation that you have access to. Their point cost counts against your starting size points limits. Note those down. So yeah, you can, as far as it sounds like now, you can totally just pick a battalion that's at least in one of the core ones, and you get all its, you'll be able to get access to its things if you use that battalion in a future fight.
Okay.
I know I have access to and can field the Warlords battalion. I don't know if I actually get the extra artifact, or it's just that I could just run in with an extra artifact once when I acquire a bonus one. That one's where it's kind of weird, because it just seems like a cheap way to get an artifact if even I can't ever field that battalion. But like, oh look, here's an artifact.
Yeah, I'm gonna look into the War Scroll battalions, the ones from their battle tome and everything, because this is one of the few times where I'll actually be able to use those.
Oh, yay.
And I'm gonna check and see if, hey, this one seems cool. Because I know they have like the royal court and stuff like that, but that's
Yeah.
later. I think it involves quite a few characters if memory serves, and I've only
Okay.
got two. But as far as right now, I don't believe I have one. Now I know there's one they made in the Broken Realms book for uh
The box that you have?
Gorstein Mortavel, but it requires him to be Gorstein
Oh,
Mortavel,
no.
which
Yeah.
makes him unique and thus unable to be added
Well,
to
he
this
can't be your
roster.
warlord. You can put
Right.
unique characters on the roster. He
He
just
just couldn't
can't
be the
ever be your
warlord.
warlord.
Right. And that would, I mean, it would be neat if it was that specific guy looking for a king, and then when I
Hmm.
got the king, he'd be the warlord. But I'm going to do a little more research before I decide.
Okay.
It also gives me something good to work towards as far as adding units to the roster goes.
Oh, yeah, definitely. All right. And see, you could also be able to get yourself a triumph out of the 3 triumphs that are available right now if you want to get one of those and have that in hand right now.
Yeah, I mean, if I've ever seen an army that was bloodthirsty, I'd imagine this was it.
What does that triumph end up doing?
Rerolling charge.
You know, I should have honestly took that with mine. I put a lot of my eggs in charging with some hammers in my army, and I went with inspired. And probably rethinking it, I did not do a good choice for what I want. I'll need to find out what the ability is for me to change that triumph is for my army, because I think I'm going to probably end up having to do that one day. All right, so we got your quests now. So this is the big one. You can pick up an extra artifact, get a war scroll battalion, get an endless spell, get a spell, get an invocation of prayer, defend your realm, which is a glory boost, or scout fertile lands. Not knowing what any of them did, my first one was scout fertile lands. Like I just picked it because it sounded like that is absolutely doable for me. And then I actually did, and I realized it just helped me pick better for buying new territories, and getting new territories for your army is like 10 glory. It was a fairly useless one for me, just kind of starting out. Now I look at them now and I'm like, defend the realm. Get that. The extra artifact one's kind of nifty too. Artifacts are always nice. I don't know how much you're going to be flinging around more magic, more invocation, more prayers, but always at least like the defend your realm glory booster one is probably always good, because that'll allow you to kind of buy your new strongholds, buy your new territories, buy your new units, and heal them if you have units that are having casualties. That is always, I think, probably a good one, because it allows you to bank in your resource.
Right. And I guess, and now it says here at the end of the battle, quest point to the progress section of your quest log for each friendly unit wholly within your territory. So for some armies, like I imagine your dwarves would have at least some ranged options. They have the iron drakes,
I actually
right?
don't.
Oh.
So I play Gyran dwarves, and the first thing I thought about is am I going to be using regimental blocky iron drake shooters, or am I going to channel probably what real jungle warfare has been like and run some planes that drop bombs? And so I'm running bomb dropping planes. That's my ranged option. It's a very shitty range option, but I feel it's very thematic, because it's rangers with axes and airplanes with bombs. That's my army.
Yeah, and you get to play Fortunate Son every time they drop the bombs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a plus. So looking at the quests, I would probably choose Master Magical Lore. The defending your realm is tempting, but being able to, it's going to be difficult for me to remain in my wholly
Yeah.
within my territory.
Oh,
Especially
yeah.
say, for instance, if you were my opponent and you were trying the same thing, we would both just stand there and insult each other like Monty Python.
You know, for an army that's on the search for a king to give that king some kind of land, probably defending the realm, yeah, is not exactly what you're looking for right now.
But my warlord is quite the up and coming sorcerer. So being able to have access to more spells, not necessarily the endless variety, does seem useful, especially because Flesh Eater Court spells are somewhat situational. But this also grants me
Okay.
access to the ones in the core book, correct?
Yes.
So
Now, I believe your Flesh Eater, your warlord already gets one of them.
Mhm.
Because of that. So he'll get his standard allegiance spells and his bonus spell from the core book. And then you can go ahead and start acquiring more spells. Now, I don't know if the core book bonus one actually goes down in here. That's where it's a little bit iffy still for me.
right. Yeah, and I chose one of the spells from the battle tome for the Archregent already. So he's set there, but it was between two of them, and being able to finish a quest to grab another one seems nice.
Yeah. All right. And honestly, yeah, that is pretty much it. The only thing that we needed to go over at least was, and this was kind of partly for me to help you with this, is to be able to understand, yeah, what glory is, the use of glory, and kind of how everything thematically ties into each other. Like, honestly, they didn't do a good job in explaining in step 2. Step 2 is all about the step on altering your order of battle limits and everything that's associated with it, your stronghold and your territories, are all tied to doing that. So that way you get to step 3, which is your army roster. And they didn't really go into key about how your army roster doesn't need to be the army you fight with every battle. Like, you don't need to take everything. You can be 1,000-point roster and bring 700 points of it to a battle later on. You know?
Right, and I've played Crusade for 40K, and also what's another one? The Kill Team, the previous
Yeah.
Kill Team they had. It's a similar makeup there. So as far as the roster goes, I was pretty on track with it. But as the limits and everything, you gave me some pretty good insight as to how this works, because I cracked that book open. I was like, okay, I should know this. I played the last 2 Path to Glories, and no, it's not the same at all.
No,
But it does
not at all.
seem much more in depth, and I feel like it's going to be a lot of fun.
I do like at least the thematic aspects of the mechanics are really cool. Your army's capabilities are tied to land you own. Your renown points are just the experience for each unit, so it unlocks new things for them. The 15 renown for your warlord is why you have the command trait. So if you get 15 renown for your other heroes, they get command traits too. And then you'll be able to bring those in with battles with you. Now that's where you start getting into the way that they try to balance them out, which is they tier power strength for armies later on. That's not really as important right now for the starting ones, because everyone kind of still starts with, you get your 1 artifact, your 1 command trait, and things like that. But your renown unlocks more of that power for your army, and then you start getting into, well, what's the handicap essentially everyone's going to be working against with your army. But your renown is how you unlock better options for each unit to fight. The glory unlocks new limits to your army in terms of what you can have in it and grow it, really. But renown is just XP for each unit on top of that.
And I like how similar in this Sigmar core book it was to how they had the just vague enough to fit into any army type stuff in the 40K book for Crusade, which lets me believe that each battle tome should have unique Crusade or Path to Glory.
They definitely are going to.
Yeah,
that's almost automatic. It's just going to be the weight for each one.
Yeah, and we're still waiting for 40K. So
I know. Wow. Like, what, there's 4 or 5 Space Marine legions that have it, and literally 1 Xenos. It's just Dark Elves right now, right?
I believe so. Well, Necrons have it too.
Okay, Necrons, Xenos, and Necrons and Dark Elves. Like 5 Space Marine Legions.
Yeah. And me and my guardsmen are sitting over here with absolutely nothing.
Hey, what about that kill team Deathcore Creek?
See, I play Cadians and Catachans, so I'm not as upset. But they kind of got the 1-2 punch on people there because they were like, all right, Forge World has new rules for Death Corps. We ruined their regimental abilities. It's terrible now. By the way, all these models don't matter because we're making plastic ones. It was just
Yeah.
and there's people, I know people who have, hundreds, thousands of dollars worth of Death Corps of Krieg that are just weeping, but at the same time excited. It's Games Workshop is really good at their job. As I say,
Make them come back for more.
As I say, sitting next to the sprues of the new army just because we're playing Path to Glory.
Yeah. I got into 40K originally by wanting to get involved with Kill Team. And then that grew into, you know what, I'm just going to get an army. Never played a game of Kill Team. Never yet have played a game of 9th edition, but I was all hyped up for Crusade. I have a Dark Angel successor ready to go.
Hey, I play a Dark Angel successor too.
Awesome.
Yeah, I play Consecrators just because black and red is just edgy enough.
Let's see. I don't think there's anything else we need to probably discuss with this one because I think we have everything other than everything else is just kind of related to what happens at the end of a battle. But the idea is just to kind of keep in mind that at the end of every battle, you'll need to, if you lose guys, make sure they don't die. If they're units of multiple models, like your ghouls and crypt flayers, you may end up spending glory points in order to make sure the casualties to your unit don't stack up. Let's see. If you want to buy new territories, you're looking at 10 glory really for each new territory you bring in. So after your 5-point boost here in your first fight, you maybe won't be able to get a new territory except for once every 2 fights in Path to Glory. And upgrading your stronghold, that's like 30 glory points or something like that. It's insane. It's a lot. It's a lot of stuff you got to go into for that. And then if you just even want to buy new units, we already ran over that. Was that it's 5 glory points for a 200-point unit?
Yeah.
Not exactly the worst, but and so I think it's going to incentivize you to have a larger army, fight a larger battle, because you'll get more glory points when you fight higher point armies, or when you fight with higher point games. So 600, 500, like 750 game, you get 5 points every battle. If it's below 1,000, you get like 6. So the incentive is certainly there to get your army size up, get your army's point total up, and then you can be able to generate the glory needed for all the other things that you need.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun.
So I'm going to show this off. I never got a chance to get this done prior to our thing. I have my Path to Glory for my group of guys, and I was making this name generator, and so I never got a chance to make my Bretonnian name generator yet, and I wanted to get that done before our conversation today. But I've got an orc generator and a dwarf generator right now, and I just took these from the Total War game. And so whenever I want to come up with new names for everyone, there we go. So if you're interested, I'll make sure to get that Bretonnian one done as soon as possible with that one. I'm actually working on my Empire name generator right now.
Yeah, I've looked at I do the same thing. I want to come up with character names, especially when narrative things are concerned. And I went online and looked for Flesh Eater Court's name generators myself, and I was like,
Yeah.
Okay, I expected very Bretonnian names, but oddly enough, even though the kings are insane, they believe themselves kings and nobles of glorious kingdom, their names are very very on point with what they look like and how they act. It was a little odd for me So I
with
might have
the
to come up with my own.
the Underworld's warband, right, led by Duke Crack Marrow.
Yeah, it's it came up. I got one here. It was Cardinal Mealworth Splinter Tongue, and I was like, that doesn't sound very regal. It
Mm,
sounds like he's going to eat you. Like
yep.
I feel like his name should be like, "Hey, come here. We're gonna be friends" or something. Not nearly as blatantly vicious. So I'm gonna come up
Chamberlain
with something.
Chamberlain Gore Muncher.
Yeah, exactly. But I've I've been trying. I've been racking my brain all day, trying to come up with just names for things, trying to come up with backstory, doing research on the army because I literally just picked this. One of the boxes I had, and then I got the Broken Realms box just uh recently, and I was like, okay, I have to figure out the lore because I don't have the battle tome. I'm supposed to. I could have sworn I had it before, and
I,
now
I, I would love to get into them. I definitely want an Archregent, and I was thinking about getting an Archregent even for my normal Soul Blight army. Uh, I really, really hate the ghoul models. That's
yeah,
just me. I mean, they're one of the older models in the range for it, and it just I don't like the look of the ghouls, and so I personally can't get into Flesh Eater cores because of the ghouls. I like the Archregent. I'll take a Zombie Dragon. Zombie Dragon looks great no matter what. Uh, that Vargeist kit that you get the Crypt Flayers from, and the Crypt Gas and things like that, it's not a bad box. It's really not. But the ghouls, I can't do the ghouls. I just can't.
yeah, they are. They're a little dated, and the molds on them are a little odd. They're all hunched over, which okay, I
Yeah.
understand. I've seen pictures and artwork from the lore and everything. It makes sense that they would almost like bounding leaps on all fours type deal, but they all have the most bizarre shocked expressions, and I
They
don't know.
do. They
They're just
do.
like
Well, you
it
see
was.
then you get you know, yeah, you get that Empire box, right? Like, and you put their heads on Empire bodies, and then there you go. You got some
Yeah,
real nice looking serfs there.
yeah, that'd be pretty funny. I've seen a few people in on different through different searches where they throw a couple shields here and there, maybe stick a weapon in their hand, or a feather, because they're everyone's all the regal armies from fantasy were all about their feathers, and
Yes.
it's
Well,
just
hit me up about those feathers. I got a ton of them.
yeah,
Uh, we can talk about a feather exchange. All right. Well, I think we're probably done over here. We still also need to talk about our battle report too, but at least for making your path to glory army, I think we did a good job with this. Feeling good?
oh yeah, I'm excited, and now I know
All,
what to finish building because so far all I have is the arch region.
all right. Well, let's go ahead. Let's cut this video short. And thank you for joining me in doing this part. So hopefully now we'll be able to get a chance to start talking about our battle. And that should probably go a lot quicker than this.
Yeah, it definitely the battle went quick.